Good morning, good morning, good morning. How y'all doing this morning? Ray Tate here. Once again, Saturday morning at 7 o'clock. We here at the Church of Real Life. So, for me to go into what is religion in 2016, the reason that I decided to do this periscope about religion is the things that people tell me I should not ever discuss or debate is politics, religions, and love affairs. So since I don't like people telling me what to do, I discussed politics yesterday. If you can't find it on Periscope, you can go to Facebook. Today, I will discuss religion. What is religion? So before we go into religion, let's go into what is God. So one of the issues I have with humans is that they always look at life as a earthly basis, as if there is only one planet with one life form, and that's only because of our arrogance. So what I would like people to do is look at the entire universe. There are many planets in a galaxy of many other planets, and it's abounding and endless, infinite. So for NASA to spend billions of dollars to go into space, it is not only because of curiosity. Remember, you heard it here first. It is quite possible that there is life on other planets. If you go into the Egyptian tombs, you will see relics. Look at books of the dead, you look at archaeology, you look at facts and science, you will see many indication that there were what we call spaceships that traveled to Earth way back centuries ago, before mankind knew what a modern civilization was, until Egypt came around and dominated and built the pyramids, which each pyramid is the ability to tell you from space how to get to Earth. A lot of people don't know that. The stars are aligned under the pyramids. Those pyramids guide you from Earth to outer space, and from outer space back to Earth. So there is a force that created this universe. Some scientists say that this universe is created from matter, energy, cosmic evolution, and all this other mumbo jumbo. However, what they can't define is the perfection of it. How is it that air, water, soil, minerals all come together at the right temperature while the earth is turning at the right axis, at the right proximity of the sun, in order for human beings to survive? So it brings me to my point to earth is created for man to survive. The animals are provided for man to feed off of. The vegetables is provided for man to feed off of. Without any help of his own, food just naturally grows. Kind of makes you think like, if there's somebody or something overlooking this earth, it's sort of like they just made everything perfect for man, all the way down to his immune system, all the way down to his nervous system. It is bringing a perfection inside the body that has everything that's inside the earth and inside the universe. See the connection? So now, here it is, this powerful force intervenes in man's life in a way that food, shelter, clothing, and these epiphanies just boom, come up. Let me put this little plant together and put a bunch of them together, and damn, I got a shirt. Let me take this dead cow, and damn, I got shoes and boots and epiphanies. Just like you get innovative ideas that change your situation, is the same way the earlier man had innovative ideas that changed the entire world. Everything that you drive, sit on, purchase, or stand, utilize was an epiphany that was given to another human being to create an object that would make your life more comfortable. Where did this inspiration come from? In man's arrogance, he would say from his wisdom or his divine intelligence. However, what man does not like to say is that there is an existence of God. However, there is a majority of people who discuss God. So let's get into that. What is God? God is a powerful force that has come and showed man and intervened every now and then, comes in and say, nah, we don't like this. You need to go this way. And throughout time, there were messengers, people who have had an experience with God and come and tell other people about that experience. Those other people question that person because they think they're insane. And then when that person provides the answers, they say, wow, I have to pay attention. Sort of like Farrakhan, T.D. Jakes, but let's go back 1,000 years. So then some people, like the Egyptian civilization, who had had many interaction with gods and had leaders who were chose to have the ability to speak and interpret what the God was saying. The man, or modern man, the Europeans say that Osiris, Isis, Horus were gods. No, they were just worshiped because they were messengers that was giving the information down to the regular folk. Just like Muhammad, Jesus, Moses, on and on and on and on. See, it don't change. It doesn't change. So now what happens is man in his arrogance says, like me, let's use me. I'll personalize it. Here's a book, here's some laws, here's some rules. I don't like all them rules. I want to pick this rule, and I want to pick this rule, and I want to pick this rule. And I want to worship that way. So when I'm the leader of my household because of wealth, and then I become a leader of my community because of wealth, and I become the leader of my government because of wealth, now I get to dictate how you're going to worship, i.e. King James. But let's go back a little further again. Let me keep you back. So now, man comes together because if man is left at his own devices, he will self-destruct. We need some organization here. So the praising of God turns into what is called a religion, which is just a unified body of people. Christ said, two of us joined together, we could create a church. However, a unified body of people with a leader forms a religion based on an ideology that has some kind of demagogue, which is the God. And then there are rules implemented. So now what happens is, from the Trinity that came way back before the Egyptian civilization, that Trinity survived all the way to the Egyptian civilization. From the Egyptian civilization, why is the Egyptian civilization important? The Egyptian civilization is important is because when Europeans became an accident, they are hybrids, they are mulatto, they're not mulattoes, they are hybrids, they are albinos. That a whole entire race formed and create and ran up into the Caucasus Mountains, which is now known as Europe, and due to the lack of sunlight and living in cages, an entire group of people emerged. Those people came back because they were descendants of Moses, came back down to Egypt, battled with the pharaohs, and took all the knowledge, wisdom, and information that was, and education that was available. That's why Egyptian civilization is important. Egyptian civilization is important because it is the first place that chronicled information, current events, had universities, did brain surgery, had objects that can fly like airplanes, but they were gliders, had the ability to teleport, had the ability to utilize the majority of the brain. And the Romans, the Greeks, and when this European nation just forming, they dominated and took it over. And that's where you get constant rebellions against the Africans. So then, as time goes by, the Europeans formed their own religions. What we know to be Roman Catholicism and Greek Orthodoxy and on, but the most dominant was Roman Catholicism. And what happened is they said, we're going to steal from the Egyptians and we're going to create symbols. This is why you have saints in the Roman Catholic Church. This is why they worship different statues. But at the end of the day, they bow down to the Black Madonna because they remember their history and their origin. So now the Roman Catholics, they start building wealth because they're the minority. They come together to take over the majority, and the European nation conquered Africa, killed off as many people as they possibly could with their crusades all throughout South America, all throughout Africa, on every continent, and forced people to see what they call as the Christ. So, who was the Christ? The Christ was an African man who walked amongst the Europeans and had the desire and the nerve to tell them that he was God and what was going to go on and how they were violating and not following the law. What they did, they lynched him. In the book, it says they crucified him. They lynched him on a tree. So, the name of the Christ from early Egyptian time was given to people who were known as kings. This is why you hear kings of kings and lords of lords. Now, mind you, I'm scrambling hundreds of years altogether so I can put it in a few minutes. So now, what happens is that religion is formed. As time goes by, the wealthy people are the only one allowed to be informed, and the poor people are allowed to receive an interpretation. This was governed by Europeans. Africans was learning from what is called the oral tradition. There was always a sage or somebody in the village who constantly every night taught, reading, writing, language. After the industrial slave trade, I'm fast forwarding the thousands of years. The industrial trade, Africans was invaded, taken over, sold, brought to America. The Americans, which were the original pilgrims that came from Europe, were all the criminals and outcasts that was put on boats to die, came here to this land, and they say they discovered America. No, these were the outcasts. So you get a bunch of criminals, sociopaths, psychopaths coming to a new land and saying this is what we creating. So let's fast forward. You got Christianity. So now, here it is, in the original land, a messenger has he receives an epiphany. He goes and he says, this Christianity thing done went awry. This is out of control. And his name is Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. So what happens is the Prophet Muhammad comes along and he says to his people in his part of the world, y'all are violating all the laws of God. This is the way you should praise. His group of people follow him. They grow. They come back and they spread the word. They create a force. They get rid of all the people that's not following the law. How do they get rid of them? Man does not respect nothing but violence. It would be nice if we could all hold hands, but that's not how man is built. Man is built that if you kill and put in fear, they listen, you give them their desires, they obey. So, what happens is, Muhammad and the entire, what y'all call Muslims today, expanded. They went all through Africa and Asia and told everybody, take your shahada, which is bow down, accept Allah as your messenger, one God, or we're going to kill you. Because there's only one God. It's only one God. Ain't no brothers, ain't no sisters, ain't none of that. One God. So now, what happens is, these powerful forces come around and they persecute. Or people say, I don't want to die. I'm down with that. I accept, no problem. I'm not making a judgment. I'm just telling you history. And what happens is these religious bodies start forming. Now, when you come back to North America, what happens is the arrogance of man. You have this one guy who wakes up and says, I don't want to follow that. I want to do this. Oh, the Mormons. You have another man say, I want to do this. You got now Jehovah's Witness. I want to do this. I got Seventh-day Adventists. There are over 33,000 different forms and denominations of Christianity. A lot of people don't know that. Everybody say they falling under God, but we got 33,000 different religious bodies saying we got a different interpretation of 66 books. Yes, the Jews is thrown in too. So now, what man does in his arrogance say, I don't like that. what the black man does in his arrogance say, Christianity is what my slave masters use, so I don't want that same thing. But what black people fail to realize is there's a difference between what your slave masters preached and the originality of who Christ was and what the black church did for your black ass. If there was no black church, there would be no black education in North America. If there was no black church, there would be no slave revolt. There would be no underground railroad. There would be no Masonic temples. There would be no food, clothing, shelter, civil rights struggle if there was no black church. So now, what some blacks in America have an issue with is how y'all praising the same God as the white man. Fool, Jesus is an African. Read the Bible. So now, what happens is, in the modern age, the younger generations do not see how the church interacts with their personal lives. And this is where we have failed them. The black church has got caught into watching, mimicking, and wanting to be like the European in a land where you're not going to get no power based on the color of your skin. You're always going to be at odds. So what they do is say, forget the fight. We want helicopters and jet planes too, as preachers. Forget about community good. Forget about the orphans. Forget about the widows. Forget about the laws that Jesus Christ said we're supposed to follow and supposed to be the function. Instead of me building a homeless shelter, I'm going to get a jet plane so I can fly around for them. Nah, people could wait for you to take the bus. They could wait. They'll wait for your message. Well, as long as the bus get there, they'll wait. You can have meetings in the middle of the night on TDJ, Clef Road, Dollar, all of y'all. And people will come out. You ain't got to fly 3 and 4. Your wife don't need a jet, and you got to have a jet, and your jet is too small, and you don't want to be flying commercial because you don't want to deal with sinners and everybody asking you to pray for them. That's your job. So now, what happens is, we are failed by the black church, so people say they don't need religion, and they don't need the church. Fine. What I want to say in conclusion is this. There is one God. There's a many interpretations of that God. When you have a experience, a spiritual experience, you cannot deny what you have seen and felt. For me, I have to praise the name of Jesus. Why? Because in all my ignorant sins and devilsmish, I'm still here. If you were God and people disobeyed you, you would vaporize them. Go back to the Old Testament. That's how God used to get down. Based on a new covenant, God has said he will reign with forgiveness and mercy. What you do in your arrogance, human being, is you say, I will only call on God in a time of need and when I cannot handle nothing else. And you forget that every day God allows you to have a heartbeat that was here before you was here. You forget that God allows you to walk through the land every day in your own arrogance, cursing him. But he still shows you love. And all I ask everybody to do is find out what is God to you. Because if you are God, start living it out. Because sitting around bashing other people about the gods they praise ain't doing nothing for nobody. Do something. If you don't like it, if you think people are ignorant, you think people are confused, fine. That is the state of ignorance that is made and produced by mass media. It's going to be here. What you have to decide is what is your interpersonal relationship with God. And whatever it is, allow it to make you better. Stop dealing in media propaganda of what Islam is. Stop thinking that Islam is ISIS. Stop thinking that Jesus is a spook that was a white man with blonde hair who lives up in the sky and that he's sitting on a throne with wings. Stop believing this stuff. Read the word. Get an understanding. If not, don't have the time to criticize what you don't know. So in 2016, who should be your God? Your God should be you. And your God should be that higher power that speaks to you and makes you better. This is Great Zach Tate. This is the Church of Real Life, man. I got to get it off my chest because so many of y'all confused and y'all dying, man. Y'all dying like I died, and y'all praising the devil like I praise the devil. And all I can do is use my example. Because if I do not talk about what I've been through, if I do not continuously teach and preach about what I did to try to save somebody else, I am useless. And I'm too great to be useless. Great Zach Tate, thank y'all for tuning in.